POV. Izuku stared in awe and relief at the entrance of the USJ, its large doors fully destroyed by the arrival of said source of awe and relief. "He's here." Izuku gasped out. All Might. The symbol of peace marched on inside, his yellow suit in his hands, revealing him in a white dress shirt and blue tie, yellow pants, brown dress shoes, and a belt with a few pokeballs in place. 2 tufts of blonde hair stuck up waving, sky blue eyes flaring through his shadowed eyes with furious intensity. His trademark bright and wide smile replaced by a furious, teeth-gritting frown. And his not smiling. Izuku finished gasping out. "So," Shigaraki growled out, standing up from his crouched position. "All this waiting and wasting our time on these low-level dregs, and he finally shows up. The heroic piece of trash. I had a feeling things were wrong when Aizawa and 13 didn't answer my calls." All Might spoke out, Mina and Uraraka crying tears of joy at his arrival. "So, I hurried over, running into young Ida along the way, informing me of the villainy afoot." Soto and Zero visibly smiled, while Shorge's expression was covered by his mask, yet had his hands were replaced with smiling teeth. As All Might marched onwards, he gritted his teeth. "To imagine this all went down while I was resting." All Might bitterly and shamefully thought, his mind going back to what truly compelled him to rush over here. Flashback. As Taisha was explaining things to him, he suddenly stopped, the white-haired man's eyes widening. "Taisha?" All Might asked in confusion. Nezu dropped the cup of tea from his lips and looked to the new teacher. Suddenly, the Pokemon teacher gripped the side of his head, his teeth in a gritted, pained frown, eyes wide as he slipped from his chair. "Taisha!" All Might yelled as he got up from the couch and rushed to the downed man, Nezu's cup of tea dropping and breaking on the floor as the principal of UA did the same. "What's the matter?" Something's wrong." The man growled out, his crackled voice indicating he was in pain. This feeling, this repulsive essence. That Pokemon." His eyes suddenly shot up wider. The man whirled to All Might, the symbol of peace taken back by the look of alarm and seriousness in the teacher's eyes. "Get to the USJ." Taisha roared out. "Now." He didn't need to be told twice, and buffed up and super sped his way out the door of the teacher's long and towards the USJ. As he ran, All Might picked up on yet another emotion the eyes the once calm and smiling man had in his eyes. Fear. Flashback over. To think of just how frightened these children must have been. All Might continued in thought, recalling how he ran into Ida running towards him, the seriousness, panic, and fear in his voice as he told him the situation. And how hard my colleagues had to fight in order to protect them. All Might looked and growled hatefully at the state of 13, the back of her costume completely destroyed and struggling on the ground while Uraraka and Mina tended to her and her Gardevoir facing the Spiritome. "How shameful of me. All I can do now is reassure them that things will be okay. That's my penance and duty as the symbol of peace." All Might stomped hard on the ground, the floor beneath him cracking a bit. "Have no fear, students." All Might growled out as he ripped off his blue tie and tossed away his yellow jacket. "Because I am here." Serena's eyes watered, her fearful face replaced with a relieved, hopeful one. "All Might." She gasped out. "Rib bit." Asui croaked out in awe, her tongue still wrapped around Izuku's body. "Holy shit." Pikachu cursed. "He may be an idiot, but that is hero." "Holy crap." One of the remaining, now awakened villains whimpered out. "I never actually seen him in person before. He's huge." Another villain gasped out. "Now's not the time to gawk, you idiots." Another villain yelled while turning to his companions. "If we gang up on him, we can dash." Whack, wham, whack. In an instant, the villains fell to the ground, knocked out, while All Might flew past them and towards Aizawa. Geeky ha ha. Spiritome recovered and charged up large dark pulse to fire at All Might. Before Gardevoir could move to act, a blur of red and white zoomed past her. Spiritome barely turned around as the red and white blur caught on fire and collided with it. Spiritome cried out in pain, the blur revealing itself to be All Might Cinderace, its leg ablaze with black kick. Cinderace yelled as he kicked upwards, sending the forbidden Pokemon into the air. Spiritome corrected itself in midair and fired a large shadow ball at where he was sent from, only realizing after firing that the fire type was not there. It quickly looked up to see Cinderace had jumped high and was right next to him, in midair, the striker Pokemon's whole body enveloped in flames and his eyes glaring pure red, glowing eyes at it. It didn't get a chance to fire off an attack as Cinderace overwhelmed it with a series of quick and powerful blade kicks, powered up by Flame Charge, all the kicks landing precisely onto the keystone for effect and blazing through its gaseous form, making it unable to fully form and attack. A few of the recovering Pokemon of the other villains looked up in time to see Cinderace kick Spiritome's keystone body by its side. Cinderace roared out as he began to spin around in the air, so fast that he appeared like a blurry top while Spiritome's keystone spun with him, being dragged by the powerful leg while its gaseous form was thinning as it was spun around rapidly. Fire erupted around the spinning top that was Cinderace, Spiritome crying out in pain. Cinderace stopped spinning and roared out as it kicked out Spiritome towards the villainous Pokemon, the forbidden Pokemon's keystone covered in large, powerful flames as a makeshift pyro ball. It collided into the ground next to the Pokemon, the resulting large, fiery explosion sending the Pokemon flying out. The smoke cleared, revealing more and more of the villain's Pokemon laying on the ground, knocked out once more. The middle of the explosion revealed a large impact crater, and in the middle of it was Spiritome, its keystone covered in massive burns and scratches while its gaseous form's eyes were replaced with fainted swirls. Cinderace landed onto the ground in flash, glaring with a challenging smirk. The other villainous Pokemon gawk in terror of the rare fire type. And just as a few snapped out of their daze to attack, another blur flew out of the USJ entrance, its body enveloped in an ethereal blue aura shaped like a draconic creature. It collided rapidly into a few of the Pokemon, blurring past the rest with a gust wind. It zoomed through and smashed past the Pokemon till they were all fainted on the ground, the blur slowing down to reveal itself as a Dragonite, who roared in victory. Gardevoir and the students gaped in awe of the speed and sheer power of both All Might and his Pokemon. Amazing! Nina gasped out in awe. Holy shit! Zero cursed. We were having a difficult time against that thing, and All Might's Cinderace just destroyed it in a few seconds. All Might lifted the blooded, broken body of Shouter Aizawa in his arms, looking down at Aizawa's unconscious face, his nose painted in his blood with cuts, bruises, and blood all over his face. All Might also registered the broken arms, one of his elbows looking particularly nasty with his elbow's muscle completely exposed with cracks all over the arm around it. He likewise noticed Aizawa's Malamar and Kofagrigus, as well as 13's Beheeyem all on fainted and in terrible condition. I'm sorry, Aizawa. All Might apologized. I should have been here. Aizawa still in his arms, All Might turned towards Shigaraki and Nomu, noticing Shigaraki standing next to Mariella and Asui while Nomu towered over Midoriya and Pikachu floated in the water next to him. He likewise noticed the Hydreigon floating off to his right. All Might's blue eyes flashed dangerously, and in a blink of an eye Izuku suddenly found himself feeling carried away, wind blowing past him super quickly, and then standing still. Izuku shook his head from the confusion and found himself standing beside Serena and Asui, Pikachu on his shoulders, while All Might kneeled in front of them, with Aizawa's unconscious body laying down next to him. He looked over towards the villain and found that they were moved several meters away from the villains. Her! Pikachu cried out in confusion. The hell just happened? So fast. Serena gasped out as she quickly realized what happened. Everybody back to the entrance. All Might ordered, tossing a few Pokeballs lightly from Aizawa's belt. And take Aizawa and the Pokemon with you. They don't have much time. Use these to put them back in the balls. Wait, but aren't they? Izuku stopped his question as he turned and found Cinderace and Dragonite suddenly next to them, holding and placing down the fainted bodies of Malamar, Kofagrigus, and Beheeyem. I barely noticed them. Izuku thought as he looked back and forth between the two Pokemon, the fainted Pokemon, and where they previously were. Such speed, and All Might knew that they were here with the others, without so much as turning. Izuku looked at All Might with awe. Could they have been ordered by All Might telepathically through One for All, or is this a testament to their bond and trust in each other? You saved us, All Might. Izuku said aloud, quickly following his orders and returned Aizawa's Malamar, while Serena and Asui did the same with Kofagrigus and Beheeyem. With the villains, Shigaraki whimpered and panted in a panic. His hands covered his exposed face, the hand that previously covered it now lying on the ground, the hand flying out of his face from the wind of All Might's speed. No, no, no. It wasn't supposed to be this way. He whimpered out, walking over to his fallen hand, picking it up and inspecting it for a moment. Father, I'm sorry, he's still so fast. He placed the hand back over his face, immediately calming down and chuckling. He somehow managed to land a hit on me. Such is the violence of a government-sponsored hero. I couldn't even see him as he moved. But he wasn't as fast as I thought he would be. Not as fast as he used to be. I guess it's true after all. Shigaraki peered at All Might from his side, his wrinkled face, chapped grin, and blood-red eyes peeking out, smiling menacingly. All Might is getting weaker. Shigaraki hissed out joyously. Izuku lifted Aizawa, wrapping his left arm around his shoulders, the unconscious teacher's body leaning on his right side while Serena lifted Aizawa's legs up from behind. As he did, Izuku frowned, the strange experience he faced with the Nomyu, the horrifying realization of what it could be, or rather is, greatly unnerving All Might's successor. It withstood 100% of my power, and brushed off the others like it was nothing. And then those visions, no, memories. Izuku shook his head to try to calm down. No, we can deal with that later. Right now, I have to warn All Might. All Might, you can't fight that thing. Izuku warned. Worryingly. It took all of 1-4 it took a full-on smash like it was nothing. Izuku corrected himself, much to the confused looks of Serena and Asui. I think it was his quirk and I think he might be a dash. Young Midoriya. All Might cut Izuku off as Cinderace and Dragonite walked up to be by All Might's side. All Might turned back to Midoriya, flashing his large, trademark smile, flashing a peace sign at him. I got this. With All Might's declaration as well as the thumbs up and smirks from both Cinderace and Dragonite, a still reluctant Izuku followed his teacher's orders and started carrying Aizawa away, Serena and Asui following suit. All Might turned back to Shigaraki and Nomyu, the two being joined by Kurogiri and Hydreigon. All Might turned and nodded to his Pokémon, the two nodding in silent agreement, and Jumpty flew to the side, Shigaraki's Hydreigon following their example and flying off towards them. With the three Pokémon gone, All Might quickly leapt into action, rushing towards Shigaraki, his arms crossed in an X shape. Carolina. Nomyu. Shigaraki calmly ordered, the purple monstrosity immediately responding, standing in between All Might and its master. Smash! All Might slashed his arms in a swift X onto Nomyu's chest, the water behind him parting from the force with a great wave. However, the Nomyu stood still, unmoving. All Might looked up at the Nomyu that took his attack. Nomyu looked down at where All Might attacked it, growling with a horrid screech. He looked back up at All Might, screeching as it moved into action, attempting to grab All Might. The symbol of peace arched back, ducking the attack. Guess young Midoriya's was right about it having no effect on you. All Might said as he launched a powerful punch onto the Nomyu's stomach, once more barely moving from the attack. Nomyu once more tried to grab at him, to which All Might backed up from the monster's arms. Let's try this. All Might smashed his fist onto the side of Nomyu's beaked face, with no success. He struck again with another punch on the other side with the same result. Nomyu roared, baring its razor-sharp teeth at All Might as it rushed towards him. Hydreigon floated several yards away from Cinderace and Dragonite, the two standing ready for their battle against the villainous Pokémon. All three heads growled before roaring in unison and suddenly disappearing. Cinderace and Dragonite stood still and waiting, unmoving, till Hydreigon appeared on them, charging at the two while covered in the blue aura of Dragon Rush. As if in slow motion, Cinderace jumped and flipped over Hydreigon's attack while Dragonite simply sidestepped and flew away from the attack. Hydreigon zoomed forwards before coming to a stop, whirling to look again at the Pokémon who dodged his attack. Cinderace's foot picked up a pebble from the ground and started kicking up into the air over and over, the pebble growing in flames. Cinderace kicked it up before kicking out towards Hydreigon. The three-headed Pokémon raised its dark-ringed charging mouths and fired 3 dark pulses at the attack. The two opposing attacks contested against each other till it created an explosion of smoke and flames. Hydreigon moved to rush through the flames, only for Dragonite to do it himself, charging through the flames, covered in the blue of Dragon Rush, and colliding with Hydreigon, its head smashing onto its stomach. The Pokémon roared at the super effective damage, flying back, attempting to retreat, only to once again be hounded upon by Cinderace, speeding right towards him quickly, its legs glowing white with a move double kick. Cinderace kicked out its left leg, kicking the brutal Pokémon head upwards from the direct hit, then quickly following it up with a second kick to its stomach, sending it flying once more. Hydreigon flew and spun through the air before correcting itself and roaring in anger. The Pokémon flew towards the two, once more firing off dark pulses, dragon pulses, and tri-beams through its 3 mouths, Cinderace and Dragonite ducking, sliding, jumping, and flying away, over, and under the attacks, responding by chasing after the villainous Pokémon. Dragonite fired dragon pulses and flamethrowers of his own, Hydreigon flying away and blocking with his own attacks while evading and blasting away Cinderace attempts to kick at it with more double kicks, the striking Pokémon evading and jumping away before the attacks could land. Hydreigon spun around in the air before firing a wave of dark pulses at the two as it soared towards them. Cinderace slid under a wave of the dark aura energy, its legs igniting with Blaze Kick before suddenly breakdancing, its flames from its feet forming a counter-shield of flames that blocked the dark pulse waves. Dragonite followed suit, flying over and under waves of dark rings before forming a thunder shield that shielded it from the dark rings. As it ended the counter-shield, Hydreigon rushed it with Dragon Rush, Dragonite attempting to dodge it by side-flying away from it, only for Hydreigon's right mouth hand to lash out and grab onto it with a crunch. Hydreigon took advantage by lashing its other mouth hand and main mouth with crunch, biting onto the flinching dragon type. It spun around in a circle again, rapidly spinning the opposing foe around before tossing the dragon Pokémon towards the ground. Cinderace raced towards and caught the dragon type before he could collide with the ground, sliding to a stop upon the weight and force of the toss. Hydreigon fired triple dragon pulses at the two, Dragonite quickly recovering, turning around, and firing his dragon pulse, the 3 attacks contesting each other. As the two held each other back, Cinderace used Flame Charge, racing through the field at lightning speeds while covered in flames, leaving trails of fire as it zoomed past Hydreigon before jumping up into the air and then zooming towards the dark dragon type with high jump kick. The pure fire type smashed his feet into the Hydreigon's back, the Pokémon roaring out and lashing his head and arms out, the dragon pulses firing off and leaving trails of destruction where they fired. Cinderace jumped off of Hydreigon while Dragonite's Dragon Pulse blasted uncontested toward Hydreigon, blasting directly onto the fellow dragon type, sending it flying back. Cinderace and Dragonite watched as the brutal Pokémon collided with the ground and tumbled before picking itself off the ground. It was full of bruises and was panting but still roared defiantly and rushed towards the two Pokémon. All Might jumped back from Nomew's reach. "Doesn't really matter where I hit you, does it?" All Might yelled as he slid to a stop. All Might ducked under a right hook from Nomew and punched his chest again, with little to no effect. "That's because Nomew here has shock absorption, All Might." Shigaraki spoke up, his voice taunting the symbol of peace. "The only way for you to hurt him is to slowly gouge out his flesh one punch at a time. Of course, I don't think Nomew's just going to let you use your turns over and over without using his own. I think you've finally met your match." All Might smirked wider, ducking under another grab from Nomew, the attack so close it sliced off a few hairs from All Might's head. "Thanks for telling me how to beat him." All Might thanked as he quickly sped behind Nomew, grabbing the monstrosity in a hold, his arms around the Nomew's waist. "All I have to do is wear him down, and then it's on to you." With a yell, All Might bent backwards and slammed the Nomew down behind him in a powerful suplex. The wrestling move created a large shockwave of force, kicking up dust into the air. Shigaraki braced himself against the powerful winds the attack created. "Yeah, now that's how it's done." Soto cheered as he and the rest watched the fights unfold from the gate by the stairs. "Whoa, so cool." Zero gasped in awe. Not only is he so strong, but that scary Hydreigon is getting its ass handed to him by All Might's Pokemon. Shoji pulled out his Pokes, Generation 1 Dex, and pointed it at the 3 battling Pokemon. Dragonite, the dragon Pokemon, and the evolved form of Dragonair, has intelligence on par with people. This Sea Guardian is said to be capable of flying around the globe in about 16 hours. Another Pokes entry played afterwards. Cinderace, the striker Pokemon, and the evolved form of Reboot. It is skilled at both offense and defense, and it gets pumped up when cheered on. But if it starts showboating, it could put itself in tough spot. Soto pulled his own Pokes, Generation 4 Platinum version, and pointed at Hydreigon. Hydreigon, the brutal Pokemon, and the evolved form of Zweilous. The heads on their arms do not have brains. They use all 3 heads to consume and destroy everything. Destroy everything, my ass. Soto smirked. All Might, Cinderace and Dragonite are practically unmatched. They'll put that Pokemon down good. Uraraka and Mina, as they tended to 13, both smiled nervous, yet slightly relaxed smiles. The only thought that remained that kept them nervous and worried was the same. Where's Deku and Midori? They both thought, wow, are you seeing this, Izu? Serena fangirled as she carried Aizawa's legs, stars in her eyes as she looked back towards the fight with All Might. All Might is so cool. He just suplexed that villain into the ground. And yet, he still has to look at his notes when he's teaching us. Asui pointed out. Pikachu on Izuku's shoulder cackled and laughed at Asui's diss. But even so, All Might's unstoppable. We probably don't have anything to worry about. Izuku was silent, lost in his thoughts. He always seems like it. Izuku thought, his mouth in a small frown. But then I know the truth. His mind flashed back to when he first met All Might and showed his weakened state, his weak spot, and his time limit. He then recalled one day during his 10 months of training when Izuku asked about what would happen if All Might were to pass down one for all to him. Flashback. Wait, All Might, you keep saying that you want to pass down one for all to me, that you were looking for a successor to pass on the power, Izuku said as he put down the tire he was carrying, Pikachu stopping pulling on the ropes attached to a large brick. But then, what happens to you? If you pass down your power to me, won't that mean you won't have one for all anymore? Will you not get weaker? I see what you are worried about, young Midoriya. All Might hummed as he then laughed. How fortunate of me to have such a fine and caring successor, worrying about little Ole me. I wouldn't exactly call you little. Izuku thought, looking at the large behemoth that was All Might's buff form. Even in your true form, you are still tall. But to answer your question, yes, I'm afraid that once I pass on one for all to you, the quirk will eventually leave me. All Might revealed. Izuku's eyes shot up wide in panic. Wait, then I shouldn't even get your power then. He yelled in panic. You're the symbol of peace, the #1 hero. If I take one for all then, the world can't just lose you. I don't want to rob the world of the #1 hero. Hey, calm down, young Midoriya. All Might placed a large, comforting hand on Izuku's shoulder. It is all right. In truth, young Midoriya, this was always going to be the case, whether I passed on one for all or not. Ever since my injury, my time limit has been getting lower and lower. Even after my injury, I could go entire days stopping crimes and saving lives without stopping. But now, I only have 3 hours. One day, I was always going to have to retire. Despite what many see me, I'm no god. I am just a human. I'd rather pass on this power of mine and have that outcome come sooner, than to let it die with me. Izuku clammed down with All Might's words, though he still slumped, guilt and uneasy still on the forefront of his heart. Although, I won't lose it right away. Izuku perked up back to All Might's smiling face. When I pass my quirk onto you, I will still have one for all inside of me, but rather than the full quirk itself, it will be a sort of remnant of it. Think of it like passing on a flame with a torch. When the time comes, I will light your torch and it will grow brighter and brighter, while mine will still be there. You mean you'll still be able to be a hero after you passed it on? Izuku asked. Correct. All Might nodded. When I received the quirk from my predecessor, she still had the flame of one for all in her. However, just like her, eventually the quirk will leave me as well. My time limit will lessen more quickly, until the day the flame goes out. So while my days as the symbol of peace may be numbered, I will still be around. Take this as a lesson, young Midoriya. All Might said. Nothing is invincible, and nothing lasts forever. All we can do is cherish it while we still have it, persevere and use what we have wisely, and not forget to appreciate it when it's gone. Flashback over. I read the tabloids this morning on my way to school, the ones about All Might. Izuku said, remembering himself on a train as he read about All Might saving people around the city for 3 hours. Then when Mr. Aizawa and 13 were talking about why All Might wasn't here at the USJ, 13 held up 3 fingers, indicating that he used up all 3 of his hours. He's fighting at his limit right now, if not already well past it. He's fighting on reserves. He then thought back to the Nomu that tanked 100% of One for All, 100% of All Might's strength, and didn't even flinch. And that thing can tank anything All Might can dish out at him. I'm the guy who's always smiling, right? All Might's words on the rooftop that day ringing in his head. I'm the symbol of peace. People everywhere have to believe that I'm never afraid. That smile is meant to bring hope to others despite the dangers. It was at first, but now, honestly, I smile to hide the fear inside. He's saving us, but at what cost? Izuku continued thinking worryingly. Pikachu, Eevee, and Combusken, the latter 2 inside their Pokeballs, grumbled in worry, feeling Izuku's thoughts, Pikachu's laughter and cheer dying as he understood the true gravity of the situation. Pikachu looked back, as the dust started to clear. His eyes widened and his ears perked up. Boss! Look! Pikachu yelled. Izuku stopped and looked back as well, eyes widening in horror. Asui and Serena were confused about why Izuku looked back. Aizu? Serena asked. When she looked at Asui, she noticed her own wide-eyed, shocked expression, looking behind her. Serena looked back as well, and she joined the 3 with her own horrified and stunned eyes. The dust cleared to reveal the Nomu wasn't buried in the ground, but his upper body sinking into a warp gate from Kurogiri, its upper body coming out of an adjacent warp gate, its arms raised above it and sinking into All Might's side while the symbol of peace was grappling the Nomu in the suplex hold. Oh, come on. All Might groaned, blood leaking out of his mouth. What kind of cheap move was that? He grunted in pain as the Nomu's claws dug deeper into his side, right on his weak spot, blood seeping out and staining the shirt red. So, you were trying to bury Nomu into the ground so he couldn't move around anymore. Shigaraki said. Sorry, but that won't work. Nomu is as strong as you are and that won't stop him. Crap. All Might cursed. Nice work, Kurogiri. Shigaraki looked to his misty comrade, standing beside Nomu and All Might while he used his quirk. We got him right where we want him. Nomu's claws dug deeper into All Might's side, the bloodstains growing larger while All Might grunted. Crap, he's found my weak spot. All Might thought as he removed his arms from the creature's waist and attempted to pry the claws free. He's strong, but I got to get free. If this is your best plan, then you are sorely lacking. All Might taunted. Give up now and spare yourselves the pain. Cinderace and Dragonite looked over at their trainer's predicament and rushed over to try and save him. They soon found their path barred by Hydreigon, the brutal Pokemon looking half defeated already yet still in their way. Teat, there's no way. Serena stuttered out horrified. Cinderace and Dragonite will save him. That Hydreigon looks like it's almost done for. They can beat him easily and save All Might. Ah, you 2 think you can interfere? Shigaraki questioned the 2 Pokemon. We counted on that. My Hydreigon and Kurogiri's Spiritome were supposed to handle you 2. Thanks to those little Pokemon restriction laws and All Might's past battles, he only uses 1 or 2 Pokemon at a time to aid him, mostly Cinderace. So I came prepared with a Dragon type that withstand fire types and Kurogiri's Spiritome that can handle just about any type other than Fairy, which you don't have, All Might. These villains are smarter than I thought. All Might grunted. They researched and planned ahead. But then you weren't here, All Might, and Kurogiri had to use Spiritome on those other Pokemon, weakening him and catching him by surprise at your arrival. Shigaraki growled out, scratching his neck for a bit before stopping and speaking calmly. But no matter, we had Nomu to take care of you, and a trump card in case either Hydreigon or Spiritome was taken out. Kurogiri. Shigaraki turned to the warp villain. Use it. Kurogiri's eyes narrowed. Are you sure, Tomura Shigaraki? Kurogiri asked. Oh, I'm sure. Shigaraki said gleefully. Let's show the world the true terror of the League of Villains. Kurogiri nodded, reluctant, before a dark purple hand came out with a pokeball, but it was vastly different. It was entirely purple, with a black midsection and black wavy lines going down both sides of the pokeball. Kurogiri tossed it up and it opened up, releasing a purplish, black energy out of it. It formed in midair, swirling like a black mist till it formed a shape and revealed itself to horrified, stunned eyes. What is this? All Might grunted out. The Pokemon looked like an Altaria but yet drastically different than it normally looked. Its light blue body was instead purple, its talons deformed into razor-sharp claws, its 5-ribbon tail also purple, longer, and ended on sharp edges rather than the rectangular ends. Its 2 ribbons on its head were the same, longer, darker, and more pointier at its ends. Its white puffy cheeks were darkish purple and its beak was longer and segmented. Its cloudy wings and body were likewise altered, although to a more drastic degree. Instead of fluffy cloud-like feathers, they were ruffled and messy, untamed. Instead of white like a cloud, they were black with purplish edges much like its villainous trainer. A vile purple aura radiated from the creature. It opened its eyes to reveal red glowing eyes. Chow! The Altaria cried out in a demonic, gargled cry of its former voice, its loud call sending chills throughout the USJ, from student to villain and Pokemon alike. Serena and Asui gaped in horror at the altered Altaria, not believing their eyes. Pikachu stared wide-eyed, its fur stuck up in alarm. Izuku felt the overwhelming urge to vomit, shivering in both fright and revulsion at what he saw, the sensation just as bad, if not worse than the Nomu. All Might growled, blue eyes glowing with anger. What have you done? He roared out in rage. Oh, what's the matter, All Might? You don't like it? Shigaraki asked tauntingly. This beauty is the pinnacle of Pokemon evolution, a creature that feels no pain, a permanent form more powerful and unique than Mega Evolution, and one that doesn't rely on friendship or happy smiles to attain this power, a type of Pokemon with no weakness, a Shadow Pokemon. The Shadow Pokemon cried out at its revelation. Izuku looked at the altered Pokemon in horror and fear. This is a nightmare. Izuku thought, his head ringing like a rillaboom gone in a frenzy. It's hideous. Shadow Altaria, Kurogiri said. Keep the Pokemon distracted while we deal with the symbol of peace. Shadow Altaria cried out in response and rushed towards the 2 Pokemon, snapping the 2 out of their shock and jumping back in alarm. Cinderace formed another Pyro Ball and kicked it hard at the approaching Shadow Pokemon, the 2 colliding and forming a fiery explosion. The smoke didn't clear before the Shadow Altaria flew out of the smoke cloud, seemingly unfazed by the attack. Dragonite flew up into the air and charged up a beam of ethereal energy, before firing a Dragon Pulse down at the Pokemon below, hoping for a super effective hit. This caused yet another explosion of energy and smoke, yet the deformed Altaria flew out of it, once again seemingly unfazed. Cinderace and Dragonite were wide-eyed before they jumped back from the Shadow Pokemon as it flew at them, crying out its horrifying call. The Shadow Pokemon's red eyes glowed before it flew up and spread its purplish-black cloud wings, the 2 glowing more eerily purple. It then flapped its wings and from it a shadowy mist blew out towards the field rapidly, enveloping the 2 heroes' Pokemon. The 2 cringed in discomfort, their bodies covered in a shadowy aura. The 2 were confused at the aura before the Shadow Pokemon's cry startled them again. It zoomed towards Dragonite, one of its black cloud wings glowing eerily purple once more. Dragonite attempted to fly away quickly, yet his eyes widened at how slow he was actually going. Before he could try and speed up, the Shadow Pokemon reached him and slammed its wing onto its stomach, Dragonite crying out in pain before the Shadow Altaria flapped its wing and launched Dragonite to the ground. Dragonite! All Might yelled, grunting as he tried to remove the claw from his side. What trickery is this? That Dragon Pulse should have damaged that Altaria more. Oh, it's no tricks, All Might. Shigaraki waved his finger in a no-no way. It's the real thing. You see, the beauty of Shadow Pokemon, like our Shadow Altaria, is that it has no weakness. Dragon, Ice, even Fairy. No type is strong against a Shadow Pokemon except itself. And what's even better is that all its Shadow moves are super effective against every type. Shigaraki pointed at the battle. That dark mist that Shadow Altaria created, you may think of it as an improved Shadow version of Sweet Scent. Shigaraki exposited. It makes all your Pokemon even slower to evade for Shadow Altaria to catch them. And its Shadow Break will harm your Dragonite with super effective damage, while none of their attacks will harm it as effectively. Shadow Altaria cried out, gathering shadowy energy into its mouth before firing into the ground below. The ground became more shadowy and purple before it shot out like a moving shadow towards the recovering Dragonite and Cinderace. Cinderace ran, quite slower than before, and tried to outrun the purple shadow. As it began to reach him, Cinderace tried to jump high away only for the shadow to suddenly lash out from itself, forming purple, glowing spikes that struck the striker Pokemon, causing it to cry out in pain at the super effective damage. Dragonite got up and began flying away, putting more effort into his speed as the shadow chased after him. It dodged and weaved as dark purple spikes tried shooting out at him before he flew high, the spikes coming out once more, reaching higher to try and reach him. Dragonite stopped, Dragon Rush forming around his body, and zoomed downwards to the spikes, evading and dodging them before zooming towards their sides and bursting through them, destroying them. Dragonite shook itself from the discomfort before hearing Shadow Altaria's cry, the altered Pokemon flying towards him, to which the Dragon Flying type proceeded to fly away at high speeds. As this all occurred, the students at the entrance with Gardevoir and the Down 13 all looked at the Shadow Pokemon with horror. What is that thing? Mina whimpered out in horror. It looks like an Altaria, but different. Zero stuttered out, nervous sweat pouring down his brow. He pointed his pokes, Gen 8, and pointed it at the Pokemon. Error! Error! The pokes declared. Unknown Pokemon detected. Different is an understatement. Shoji said, one of his duplicated arms next to him with ears on the ends. I managed to hear what the hand-covered villain said. He said it's a Shadow Pokemon. Shadow Pokemon. Soto repeated, confused. Yes. Shoji nodded. And from what the villain said, it seems to not be weak against any type, and its attacks are super effective against any Pokemon, regardless of their type. If the students were already scared, they were now fully terrified about the monstrous Altaria fighting All Might's Pokemon. Gardevoir growled and took a half step before 13's voice croaked out no. Gardevoir stopped and looked back at her trainer, struggling on the ground. Hey, wait 13. Mina tried holding the pro down. You're hurt bad. Please don't strain yourself. I am fine. 13 grunted out, looking back at Gardevoir. Don't go. Why you have to stay with the kids? Protect them here. But 13, we can fight. Uraraka protested. Our Pokemon can help against that Pokemon if we band together dash. No. 13 yelled out, cutting Uraraka's speech. The space hero groaned in pain. If it's true about what that thing is, and if it's taking on both of All Might's Pokemon, none of you or your Pokemon would stand a chance. And not even Gardevoir. The best thing is to stay and wait for the teachers to get here. The students looked conflicted but could not argue with the heroine's words. If it could handle All Might's Pokemon in a fight, the unofficial strongest of Pokemon, then what chance would any of them have? Uraraka's face twitched with reluctance and uselessness but stayed put, hoping that Deku and the rest were all right, and that Ida would get back quick. Listen. 13 spoke up once more to Mina, the pink-skinned teen looking towards her. When the other teacher get here, it will get dangerous. When they do, go and find somewhere to hide. Mina joined her classmate in being reluctant to follow the teacher's orders, both still worried for the others, especially Midori, and hesitant on leaving 13 alone and defenseless. Still, Mina nodded and replied with "Oh, okay." She stared back at the field below and the chaos that unfolded. Back with the villains and the students watching from afar, Shigaraki looked as Shadow Altaria fought against Cinderace and Dragonite, Hydreigon standing guard between them and the clashing Pokemon. "Well, with those two out of the way, we can go back on schedule," Shigaraki said. Kurogiri. "Normally, I wouldn't allow blood and guts to flood the insides of my warp gates, but I will make a special exception for a hero as great as you," Kurogiri said. All Might noticed the ground moving closer and noticed that the Nomu and, vice versa, him were being pulled into the warp gate. "Since you are too fast for the human eye to see and too powerful for us to defeat, Nomu had to restrain you," Kurogiri explained. "And once he's pulled your body halfway through, I'll squeeze the gate shut." Kurogiri imagined All Might's body ripped in half. "I'm going to enjoy tearing you to pieces." All Might grunted and straining more to release himself from the Nomu's grip. While Serena and Asui looked on in fear and helplessness, Izuku frowned and gritted his teeth. "Asui, Serena." Izuku spoke, drawing the two's attention to him. "Please, carry Mr. Aizawa for me and take him to the entrance." "You am sure," Asui said, taking Aizawa into her arms. "But what are you going to do?" Serena looked at Izuku suspiciously, her eyes widening as she stared at the pure determination in his eyes. "Izuku." Izuku snapped his head towards them, flinching at the seriousness and force behind them, the two almost believing they saw his emerald eyes light up. "Get Aizawa to the entrance and don't follow me," Izuku yelled, green lightning sparking off of him. "That's an order." Asui blinked in surprise, seeing such a look on the normally stuttering Midoriya, her cheeks blushing in response. Serena was taken back, never having experienced Izuku looking so serious or yell at her with such force, so taken back that she wasn't able to voice her disagreement until it was too late. "You ready?" Izuku looked to Pikachu, speaking to all three of his Pokemon. "You know it, boss," Pikachu declared. "Yes," Combusken voiced. "Always," Eevee spoke. With Eevee's mental agreement, Izuku blitzed towards All Might and the villains. "Izuku!" Serena yelled. She was about to let go of Aizawa's legs and ran after him, only to be held back by Asui's tongue on her arm. She looked to the frog girl who said he can take care of himself. "Midoriya told us to get Aizawa to safety." Serena was conflicted looking as Izuku rushed towards the dangerous villains, so desperate to want to chase after him and help him. But then she heard a groan and looked to Aizawa's bloody face. Her eyes widened, memories of months ago playing in her mind. Flashback. "Hey, Serena, promise me something," Izuku said to her as snow fell lightly around them. "What is it?" Serena asked. "Promise me that when we are both heroes, if comes down to saving a life, either mine or civilian, you save the civilian first and foremost," Izuku said to her. Serena's eyes widened at the request. "Be but Izuku," Serena said, images of a blooded and endangered Izuku. "I if you got hurt or, I don't know what I. Promise me," Izuku insisted, his eyes blazing with determination and yet with compassion. It's a hero's duty to protect the innocent above all others, including themselves. If I let a person die on my watch, if my life was spared instead of theirs, I couldn't live with myself. Izuku's eyes dimmed and looked down at the thought before rising back up and lit once more with that determined energy. "You said that you gave up your dream of being a coordinator to be a hero for your dad, to never let him feel sad like that day when there were no heroes to save those people, to be there when people needed a hero. So please, promise me that you will keep that promise to him and help others before me." Serena stared shocked at Izuku, her mouth whimpering and hands shaking. After a while of silence, she said okay. She looked up to Izuku, eyes watered with tears. "I will. I promise." Izuku's eyes lightened and he smiled, so warmly, like the sun that made the cold and snow non-existent. "Thank you, Serena." Izuku thanked. Serena raised her shaky hand, steeling herself and tracing her finger in an X over her heart. "Cross your heart?" she asked, placing her hand over where his own heart would be. Izuku smiled and nodded, tracing his finger in an X above Serena's hand and his heart. "Cross my heart," he promised, placing the hand over by where Serena's shoulder met her chest. Despite Serena's approval many times before, it was a place he insisted, feeling uncomfortable and not willing to touch Serena's breasts like a pervert. She smiled warmly herself, placing her other hand over his hand and he with hers. Flashback over. Upon the return of the memory, she gritted her teeth, and despite her heart's desire, nodded and helped Asui move Aizawa back towards the entrance. As she walked, she raised her hand and traced an X over heart, holding up to Izuku's promise, and telling him to keep to hers. She was unaware then that Izuku, as he ran, did the same gesture over his own heart. Izuku ran towards All Might, Pikachu running beside him. "I won't let them kill you, All Might," Izuku mentally proclaimed, running quickly thanks to full cowling. "I want for you to teach me more. I want you to see me grow. I want you to see me take your place and say to you that you don't have to worry anymore. That you can have some peace and smile without care. I won't let it end this way. All Might," Izuku yelled, jumping towards them. "Young Midoriya," All Might mentally exclaimed. "No, what do you think you're doing?" Just as Izuku was about to reach them, Kurogiri appeared between Izuku and All Might. "How foolish." The warp villain taunted, opening another war gate in front of him as Izuku sailed closer towards the villain. "Crap," Izuku cursed, trying to reel back his hand, a buzzing sound and feeling flowing throughout his body, unaware that his green bioelectricity grew brighter and his eyes brighter. Just as he was right next to him and the feeling grew, Kurogiri's misty body was attacked by an explosion of fire and smoke. "Get the hell out of my way, Deku!" Bakugu roared, blasting the warp villain. "Bakugu!" Deku exclaimed. Bakugu grabbed onto Kurogiri's neck armor and slammed it and the warp villain into the ground. Following his attack, ice rapidly spread towards the Nomu, touching and spreading from his right bare foot to the rest of its right side and arm, including where it clawed at All Might's side. "He's frozen." All Might registered. "That means it was Dash. Todoroki," Izuku exclaimed, looking towards the white and red-haired teen standing a few feet away, his Ninetales by his side. "One of your poorly trained thug told me you're here because you think you can kill All Might." Todoroki spoke towards the stunned Shigaraki. All Might looked down and saw that the ice that spread from Todoroki's attack stopped by the Nomu's wrist. He timed and aimed his attack so that it would stop before it reached my body. All Might analyzed, before grabbing the wrist again. "I think I can loosen this guy's grip now." As All Might struggled, suddenly Izuku was by his side. "Midoriya," All Might spoke. Izuku wordlessly grabbed the villain's hand and pulled hard. All Might quickly realized what he was trying to do, and continued loosening the villain's grip. Finally, All Might felt the claws free of his side and leapt away, Midoriya doing the same as well, leaping to be beside Todoroki. "Are you okay?" Izuku asked. Before All Might could respond, he saw as Shigaraki got over his shock and was about to run towards them. Suddenly a loud yell occurred and Kirishima leapt into the fray, roaring as he tried to deliver a falling right hook on the villain who quickly stepped back. "Damn it!" Kirishima cursed. "That was going to be cool if I landed that. Guess I found your weak spot after all, you damn villain." Bakugu growled as he kept the warp villain pinned to the ground. Hydreigon realized the commotion and roared as it made towards them, only for his path to be bared by flames. It looked to its side to see the fire emanate from Key Lava, standing side by side with Aquilidin and joined by Todoroki's Ninetales and Izuku's Pikachu. "The symbol of peace will not be defeated by delinquents like you," Todoroki declared as he pulled out another Pokeball and tossed it up. The Pokeball opened up to reveal his Galarian Darmanitan, who joined his fellow Pokémon in blocking the brutal Pokémon from them. "Guys, you are here," Izuku said shocked. "Why wouldn't we be?" Kirishima asked with a smile. You didn't think you could help All Might without us to help you out, class rep. I'm not here to help stupid Deku. Bakugo protested. I'm only here to make this warpy bastard pay for making me look stupid. Midoriya. Izuku turned to Todoroki, who looked at him with a sideways glance. I found Hagakure with me in the collapse zone. Told her to head to the entrance. Made me promise to tell you if I found you. Izuku felt a warm sense of relief hearing that one of his friends was all right. Izuku nodded in appreciation, before the two turned their attention back to the Shigaraki. Kurogiri. Shigaraki growled. How could you let them get you by surprise like that? You've gotten us into quite the troublesome predicament. Heh, you got careless, you warpy bastard. Bakugo mocked. You think I wouldn't figure you out? You aren't just made of that misty shit, otherwise you wouldn't have this armor on you. So you used the mist to cover your physical body, thinking it made you safe and hard to hit, like last time. With some well-placed attacks, and you aren't really as immune as you made us think you were. Kurogiri growled, grunting as he tried to move and free himself. He grunted again, this time in pain as Bakugo released mini explosions on his neck armor. Don't move. Bakugo threatened, looking down at the villain with maniac eyes and grin. Try anything funny and I'll blow your ass up so bad they'll be piecing you back together for weeks. That doesn't sound very heroic. Kirishima warned jokingly. These 4 kids escaped, captured my best men, and freed All Might. Shigaraki thought. He looked over to see Hydreigon and Shadow Altaria. Plus, they gathered up their Pokemon to hold back my Hydreigon. Normally he could easily make waste of them, but after his fight with All Might's Pokemon, he's weakened, and that icy brat has 2 Pokemon that have the type advantage against my Hydreigon. Speaking of All Might's Pokemon, while Shadow Altaria is keeping them busy, the same is true in reverse. And without Kurogiri's orders, Altaria won't listen and help out. He watched as Altaria blasted away Dragonite and Cinderace again, only for the two to get up and rush at him, attacking him from both sides with their attacks and evading before the shadow Pokemon could counterattack. Shigaraki sighed. Kids these days. He said. They are just so awesome. They make the League of Villains look like amateurs. He turned towards the half-frozen Nomu and spoke. Nomu. Nomu cried out in acknowledgement and started to move his body, sinking his upper half into the portal. Todoroki's eyes widened in surprise. Nomu's upper body fully pulled out of the portal, it closing behind him, his frozen over body shattering and collapsing into pieces. The crippled monstrosity, however, kept moving, uncaring of its lost limbs, squirming around frantically. His eyes grossly rolled over and stared at them. How is that thing still moving? Izuku gasped in shocked horror, Kirishima and Todoroki beside him gaping in horror just like him. It's like he didn't feel a thing. Stay back everybody. All Might ordered, clutching his side and waving them away. The group had their attention drawn back to the Nomu as they heard the crunching and shattering of ice. They stared as the ice around Nomu's sides were fully destroyed, his right side bulging and twitching till muscle and bone started forming out of his right side, forming an arm, leg, and side of his chest. The hell? Kirishima gaped in shock. What is this? All Might yelled. I thought you said his power was shock absorption. I never said that was his only quirk. Shigaraki taunting, waving his finger back and forth, the purplish-black skin of the Nomu regrowing on his newly regrown side. He also had regeneration. All Might growled, enraged. Nomu has been created to take you on All Might, even at 100% of your power. He's essentially a punching bag that both hits back and recovers. And that's not all. The group of 5 looked unsettled as Shigaraki started laughing maniacally and crazily. Oh, if you think what we did with Shadow Altaria was great, oh, you are going to love what Nomu really is. Shigaraki laughed. Izuku's eyes widened as the dark memories popped in his mind again. The man, the Macamp, the cry for help. And Mr. Aizawa couldn't erase his strength. Izuku stuttered out, the 4 looking to him. It crushed his arms like they were nothing even with Aizawa's quirk on him. It isn't only human, is it? All Might's eyes widened in horror. You didn't. All Might gasped out at Shigaraki. Bravo! You figured it out. Shigaraki mockingly clapped. Yes, you are right. Nomyu is not just some regular man that we just experimented on. Oh no, he's so much more than that. He's the anti-symbol of peace, the perfect blend science and magic, the quirks of man and the unparalleled strength and power of a Macamp, all wrapped up in one body. A Pokemon-human hybrid. As Shigaraki laughed, the five stared wide-eyed in absolute horror and revulsion. Todoroki gritted his teeth in anger, his left hand clenching so hard it was turning white. Kirishima took a step back, covering his mouth in disgust as he stared at the unmanly and unholy abomination in front of him. Bakugu glared venomously, his teeth grinding against each other, whispering bastards. All Might's shy blue eyes blazed in righteous fury and disgust, his right hand clenched powerfully while cradling his left side. Izuku knew the answer was coming and was still absolutely revolted and horrified all the same. He remembered as he heard the Macamp that became this monster pleading for help in his mind, the look of help that shined in its eyes for that split second. His body was shaking in fury, and he could feel Pikachu's anger, overhearing the whole thing, and he could feel the anger that shot out in waves from Eevee and Combusken in their Pokeballs. The five stood their ground and readied themselves, ready to release more of their Pokemon, until Shigaraki spoke again. Now, first we need to free our method of escape. The five looked surprised and confused. Get him, Nomyu. Not even a second later, Nomyu shot forward so fast that only All Might could perceive his speed. His fast! All Might mentally exclaimed, watching like it happened in regular motion as the Nomyu rushed towards Bakugu holding down Kurogiri. The Nomyu raised its fist and released a powerful right hook, striking and creating a powerful shockwave. Deku, Todoroki, Kirishima, and all their Pokemon were blasted back by the powerful gust of wind. Deku could make out briefly as a shape was blasted into a wall, creating an explosion of debris as the figure collided against it. Deku got up on his feet, shaking his head at the force. Such force! He perked up as the dust cleared to show that the Nomyu now stood next to Kurogiri, where Bakugu was. Izuku's eyes widened and looked to where the crash of debris. Bakugu! He yelled in horror. Huh! Izuku froze as he heard Bakugu's voice right behind him. Izuku looked behind him to see that Bakugu was squatting right behind him. Be Bakugu? Izuku questioned confused, the recovering Kirishima and Todoroki looking at him as well. But how did you dash? I didn't do that, you damn nerd. Bakugu replied, himself confused. That speed, I couldn't even see him coming. He thought, as Kilava ran up to him and he petted the obviously worried Pokemon. Then how did you get over here? Kirishima asked. Todoroki's eyes widened and looked towards the debris cloud. Isn't it obvious? He yelled as he pointed towards it. The four all looked to see the debris clear to show All Might standing, his arms in a blocking position and the wall destroyed behind him. His dress shirt was gone and his white undershirt had tears around his biceps. The symbol of peace coughed and sputtered, blood spitting out of his mouth. All Might! Izuku yelled. So he protected the child her. Shigaraki thought, his eyes gleaming at the favorable outcome. Typical heroes. All Might coughed and panted, looking up at the villains. These are kids and you didn't hold back. All Might yelled. I didn't have much choice. Shigaraki walked up beside Nomyu, Hydreigon floating over to its master's side. He was threatening my companion. Besides, these kids are no angels. The ice-covered boy froze Nomyu enough that he destroyed his side. Imagine if that was a person who couldn't regenerate. Todoroki glared hatefully at the villain. The angry one threatened to harm my companion in a fatal manner. Is that how a hero acts? Bakugu growled and glared at Shigaraki. And that plain-looking one, he tried to kill me with a maxed-out punch. What kind of hero does that? Izuku's eyes widened, taken back from the villain's speech, remembering how he attempted to launch 100% of One for All at the villain. If Nomyu didn't block that attack then I could have. His hands shook and shivered, images of blood covering the white gauntlet and bare hand. the image of Shigaraki reduced to pieces. You think you heroes can get away with being as violent as you want if you say it's for the sake of others? Shigaraki questioned, spreading his arms out. Well, you know what, All Might? That pisses me off. What kind of right do people have to get to decide which acts are heroic and others villainous? Casting biased judgment on what's good and what's evil. He gestured towards the downed villains. You think you are the symbol of peace? Ha! You and our you heroes are just another government-sponsored instrument of violence. And violence always breeds more violence. I'll make sure the world understands that once you are dead. All Might frowned. You are nothing but a lunatic. All Might growled out. Criminals like you always try to make your actions sound noble, calling yourselves misunderstood and revolutionaries. But admit it, you are only doing this because you like it. Don't you? Shigaraki's eyes narrowed. He's got me all figured out, he thought. An explosion occurred, directing their attention to see Dragonite crash on the wall next to All Might. The dust cleared to see that it was All Might's Dragonite, heavily injured and covered in bruises and scratches. Dragonite! All Might called out for his Pokemon worryingly. The dragon type attempted to get up but fell down once more, panting in exhaustion. You're in no shape to fight, All Might declared as he pulled out his Pokemon's Pokeball and directed the red beam from it towards his Pokemon. Come back and rest up. Dragonite made no effort to protest as it was enveloped in the red beam and returned to the Pokeball. Another explosion occurred, this time in mid-air. They look up to see Cinderace wrestling in mid-air with Shadow Altaria. He roared as he kicked the creature with a blaze kick to the face, falling of the stunned Shadow Pokemon, and fell to a slide beside the students noticing its bruises and panting, yet still relatively fight-worthy. Shadow Altaria recovered and hovered beside the villains. We got them outnumbered, Todoroki said, standing side by side with Izuku, Bakugu, and Kirishima, holding another Pokeball in his left hand. Yeah, Izuku said, the green lightning of one for all sparking once more. And if Bakugu found the warp villain's weakness, then we can find the others too. And with our Pokemon and All Might Cinderace, they can easily overwhelm Hydreigon and Shadow Altaria while we deal with the rest. Now you're talking, boss. Pikachu cried out as it stood on all fours, cheeks sparking in yellow electricity. Ninetales and Darmanitan stood by Todoroki, and Kilava and Quilladin stood by their respective trainers. If we're going to go all out here, we're gonna need some backup, Kirishima said, grabbing one of his Pokeballs with his hand and hardening the other arm. But with All Might and Cinderace, we can take them. Vulpix, Drizzile, attack. Todoroki tossed his Pokeballs, the two opening up and releasing white energy that formed into Todoroki's Vulpix and 2-foot-tall, slim, bipedal, reptilian Pokemon. It was mostly blue with a white belly, dark blue spots on its cheeks, and on the end of its curled-up tail, its two-fingered feet and hands were colored green, as well as its eyelids on its bored-looking eyes, one of them covered by two of its 3 hair strands. The smaller obstructing one and the other one that was standing up were blue, while the larger obstructing one was purple. Onyx, Rhyhorn, come on out. Kirishima tossed his Pokeballs up, the 2 Pokeballs revealing a large grey, spiked rhinoceros-like Pokemon, Rhyhorn, rocky grey plates all over its body and a small horn protruding from its face, and another, even larger serpentine-shaped Pokemon, Onyx, its boulders grey in colour and smaller as it ran down its body and a large rocky protrusion coming out the top of its head. Destroy them to pieces, Charmeleon, Gyarados. Bakugu shouted as he tossed his Pokeballs, Charmeleon and his shiny, red Gyarados coming out and roaring loudly. Eevee, Combusken, let's go. Izuku yelled as he released his own 2 Pokeballs, Eevee and Combusken popping out standing ready for a fight. Oh, so you kids think that you 5 and bringing out all your Pokemon will be enough to take out us and our Pokemon? Shigaraki chuckled and taunted. That's amusing. The range of hubris that heroes all have. But by all means, come and try. The combined force of the 4 UA students and their Pokemon stood at the ready to oblige the villain, before All Might and Cinderace walked up in front of them. Don't attack, All Might ordered, waving them away. Get out of here. Your assistance is not necessary. You would have been in trouble had it not been for me earlier, remember? Todoroki pointed out, raising his right arm in emphasis. You need our help. And I thank you for the assistance, but this is different. All Might protested, clenching his hand into a fist, Cinderace by his side doing the same. It's going to be all right. Just sit back and watch two pros at work. Cinderace nodded, smirking confidently like his trainer. But All Might, you're too weakened, you're bleeding. Izuku protested himself, stressing out the word weakened to secretly voice another concern, and you're almost out of time. All Might turned back to Midoriya and only smiled wider, sticking up his thumb in a thumbs up, Izuku taken back by the action. All Might turned his attention back to the villains, standing several yards away from them in ready. Nomu, this symbol of filth thinks he can still take you. Shigaraki said to the still monstrosity. Show them how wrong he is. Double up. Nomu suddenly roared loudly in response. The hybrid slouched further down, revealing his back bulging and moving around. The pro, Cinderace, and the students and their Pokemon looked shocked. Whoa, what the hell is happening? Kirishima questioned. Is there more to this monster than we thought? Todoroki asked. Izuku's eyes narrowed in pensive thought, before widening in realization. No, he said, bringing the group's attention to him. Remember what Shigaraki said about it. It's a hybrid between a person and a Macamp. As if on cue, the bulges on the Nomu's back shot out of its back, revealing two extra bulging arms on the Nomu's person. The monster roared as the flesh started to form around the arms and area it popped out of. Holy crap! Kirishima cursed, taking a step back in shock and fear. You didn't think that the only factor of Macamp that Nomu had was his strength, did you? Nomu questioned. Nomu, Kurogiri, deal with All Might, I, Hydreigon, and Altaria will handle the children and the Pokemon. All Might gritted his teeth, his fist clenching tight. I fear despite my bravado I barely have a minute or two left in this form. My power is declining rapidly. All Might thought, before sighing. I guess I have no choice but to bring out all the stops. That's quite the trick you've shown there, quite the show, but All Might stuck his hand into his pocket, the teens hearing a click sound from inside the pocket. I think it's time I showed a little trump card of my own. What are you blabbering on about? Shigaraki questioned. Just a little something that I'm sure neither of you know I have. All Might said. Something I only bring out for the worst of occasions. All Might pulled out a Pokeball, one that Izuku and the rest have never seen before either. The orb was colored light purple, the color darkening the further back. The Pokeball has light blue lines formed out of the middle button both horizontally, like other Pokeballs, and vertically, further blue lines circling around them like a blue grid or web. Finishing off the look of the Pokeball were 4 yellow arc protrusions, sticking out diagonally around the Pokeball from the middle. It's time to show your skills. Come on out, Buzzwole. All Might shouted as he tossed the new Pokeball up. It opened up to release a more bluish energy that collided to the ground. It shaped and formed itself to a large 7 feet 2 inches foot-tall figure, on par with All Might's height. The energy dispersed with a burst of wind and out revealed a Pokemon, to the shock and amazement of the 4 teens, that they have never seen before. It was large and muscular as All Might himself, with a large red chest that looked full of red liquid, with bulging pecs and abs, traced around in black flesh and greyish-white lines sticking around the muscles that appeared to look like tendons. Its arms were large and muscled, the muscles forming around 3 large orbs full of red liquid around its shoulders, biceps, and wrists, with red skin on the top and bottom of the arms, 2 spikes on its shoulders, and large black, red-fingered hands. It had 4 bug-like legs that looked like pincers, colored dark red, and black, with 2 bulging muscles on each leg. It held several more of these muscle sacs on its back, alongside 2 pairs of orange, dark-veined bug-like wings. Its face was short in comparison with a black ring, with 3 spikes on its back, for a neck, 2 red and black antennas sticking out its short red head. Its eyes were 2 small, red compound eyes on 2 black spherical orbs that connected with the antennas. And finally it had a long, silver protrusion on the middle of its face. Woo 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 Leel. The new Pokemon roared out as it flexed its muscles intimidatingly, an aura of red appearing around it. The students, and even Shigaraki and Kurogiri, were taken back from the appearance of the new Pokemon. What is this? Shigaraki growled, confused. Holy! What kind of Pokemon is that? Kirishima asked, his Pokemon beside him likewise wide-eyed and shocked. That power! Bakugo gasped out. It's not a normal Pokemon. Todoroki took out his pokes and pointed it at the new Pokemon, hoping to get answers. Error! Error! Unknown Pokemon detected. The pokes declared, much to Todoroki's surprise. The pokes is not registering it. Is it some kind legendary Pokemon? Izuku did not respond to Todoroki's question, staring in awe and shock of the Pokemon. I know everything there is about All Might and his Pokemon, but this is one that I have never seen before. Izuku thought, his head once more ringing, but not dangerously or with a wave of revulsion that the Nomu and Shadow Altaria had on him. Izuku felt like this Pokemon was giving of a different kind of feeling, almost alien compared to any other Pokemon he's seen. All Might looked at Cinderace, the two staring silently for a moment, before Cinderace nodded and stepped back, standing between the students and the villains. All Might turned to Buzzwole and asked, "Ready?" Buzzwole nodded and hummed in agreement. No, 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 no. Shigaraki cried out in outrage. He wasn't supposed to pull out some hidden assist. This isn't right. Ugh. The villain roared in rage as he began to run towards the students. But, no matter my condition, I have to stop these villains. The students prepared themselves as Shigaraki, Hydreigon, and Shadow Altaria raced towards them. All Might gritted his teeth. Because I am. All Might felt the flames of One for All inside him ignite and his power soar, staring down the villains with raging blue eyes. The world's symbol of peace and justice. Shigaraki's eyes widened in fear, stopping in his tracks. Nomu raced past him and his Pokemon towards All Might. The symbol of peace rushed towards the monstrosity, Buzzwole flying by his side, his body powering up with red and orange energy of bulk up. Nomu raised its two right arms and punched, his two attack blocked by All Might and Buzzwole. A massive blast of wind and pressure blasted all the villains, students, and Pokemon back, All Might, Buzzwole, and Nomu standing their ground. The force was so powerful it even pushed back Kirishima's Onix and Bakugo's Gyarados. Weren't you listening? Shigaraki questioned. One of his powers is shock absorption. Yeah, what about it? All Might yelled back, launching another strike that Nomu countered with his lower left arm. Buzzwole! Buzzwole responded and quickly flew around the two and rushed at Nomu from behind, its fist glowing white with brick break. Nomu sensed the attack, its arms shifting and twisting around till they faced behind it. One of them was launched forwards and met the Pokemon's attack, causing another burst of wind and pressure. Close combat, rapid beast! All Might yelled as he and Buzzwole, the latter's body glowing red and orange, launched multiple powerful punches at the Nomu, who met both of their punches with its four arms, the punches so fast they were barely perceivable, powerful winds blasting out and pushing the students and villains back while the ground beneath them shook and crumbled. Izuku braced himself, quickly catching Pikachu's tail and Eevee before they flew off from the winds, gritting his teeth, digging the soles of his boots into the ground to brace the winds, with full cowling to help. Bakugo slid back before bracing himself and keeping himself from flying. Gyarados quickly placed its body in front of his trainer, shielding him and Kilava and Charmeleon from the winds. Onix did the same for his trainer and fellow Pokemon, while Kirishima gripped his hardened fingers into the ground for support. Todoroki attempted to shield himself with ice walls, but they were also quickly destroyed by the wind and pressure, forcing to brace himself, his Pokemon doing the same. Vulpix flew past Todoroki, the white and red-haired teen not noticing, or caring, but was quickly grabbed by Darmanitan and kept from flying off. Cinderace stood against the winds, only bracing lightly as it slid inch by inch away. Shigaraki braced himself against the winds, Hydreigon and Shadow Altaria forcefully kept back alongside him, as well as Kurogiri, his misty body being blown and thinned. No, I can't get near them. The warp villain grunted out. If your quirk is shock absorption, not shock nullification, All Might yelled as he and Buzzwole continued firing punch after punch at lightning speeds at Nomu's front and back while it punches and blocked back. Then there's a limit to what you can take, right? Nomu was silent, but its answer came from its body, Buzzwole, and All Might's hits landing one after another, its body suddenly moving and showing effect. Nomu roared as it launched out a punch at All Might's side. The symbol of peace grunted in pain, his eyes flashing dangerously, and fought faster, pushing the Nomu back with its attacks, Buzzwole hovering back yet blocking and dealing damage to Nomu all the same. So you were made to fight me, huh? All Might yelled, the three blasting through trees and earth as they crumbled under their power. If you can really withstand me firing at 100% of my power, then why should I not have Buzzwole join in the fun? Buzzwole dodged a right hook from the Nomu's top right arm, roared and struck back with a brick break uppercut on its undersider of its arm, an audible break occurring. Nomu roared in pain before it repaired and continued attacking. But more than that, All Might growled and launched rapid, powerful strikes at its face. I'll go beyond that and force you to surrender. All Might's and Buzzwole's hits became faster and faster, Nomu moving and flinching from the attacks, All Might's strike knocking its head back. Nomu's fist grazed past All Might's cheek, drawing blood, and yet the symbol of peace kept going. He's fighting even though he's injured. Izuku thought as he stared in awe of All Might's power. So he had that Pokemon come and help him to finish off the Nomu's shock absorption and its Macamp strength quicker from another angle. Izuku saw the Buzzwole keeping pace with All Might, matching his speed and power with what Izuku realized as back-to-back activations of close combat. And all those attacks, they aren't random swings, they're targeted. And each one. Izuku noticed those punches held the same strength and speed as All Might's punch back on the day they first met. Is more than 100% of his power. All Might roared as he unleashed an uppercut, sending the Nomu flying back into the air. Buzzwole flew up and above Nomu's body, raising its arm, glowing red from hammer arm, and slammed it onto its stomach, sending it flying down to the ground, where it met All Might's right hook sending it flying forward. Buzzwole flew towards it and fired another brick break, Nomu blocking the attack by crossing its forearms. Its body collided and slid through the earth and flipped its body, kicking Buzzwole behind it. It lifted its head only to see All Might's fist slam into his face. Buzzwole flew back and fired a brick break on the left side of his stomach. The two flew forward, Nomu spinning around in mid-air from the two attacks spinning him. Buzzwole unlashed an uppercut onto the Nomu and sent him flying up again. Whoa! They're so fast! Kirishima yelled in amazement. A real hero. All Might jumped up and shot forward a punch from his right fist, Nomu blocking the attack with his two crossed arms from behind. Buzzwole flew up and struck with its left arm at Nomu's front side, the Nomu blocking that attack too. We'll always find a way. All Might and Buzzwole pressed their attack, slamming their remaining fists into its unprotected left side and sent him flying away. Nomu landed with a tumble while All Might slid to a stop on the ground. Buzzwole flew quickly and grabbed the Nomu's legs and spun him around in circles before tossing him up into the air, where All Might jumped to and grabbed its legs. For justice to be served. All Might twisted and spun the Nomu around before flinging the Nomu to the ground, an impact crater forming upon its landing. The students stared in amazement while the villains in horror. Now for lesson. All Might landed next to the Nomu as it bounced off the ground limp, Buzzwole beside him. You may have heard these words before, but I will show you what they really mean. Buzzwole threw its left fist back, its body glowing red and its fist charging up with massive white and blue energy of focus punch. All Might felt the rainbow light of one for all light up inside his right fist as he threw it back. Go beyond. All Might roared aloud, he and Buzzwole, side by side firing their fists onto Nomu's chest. Plus Ultra. With a burst of wind and power, the Nomu flew forwards and crashed through the USJ dome and off into the sky, passing through dispersing clouds before it faded from sight. Over at the entrance, the students looked on in amazement. Serena and Asui stood beside Uraraka and Mina as they gaped in awe, while Soto and Makhoke held up 13 by her arms, Zero standing by him Slef, and Shoji carrying Aizawa's unconscious body. Did I saw a villain blasting off into the sky? Zero questioned. It was that Nomu thing. Serena answered, with wide eyes. Such power. Shoji gasped out. Choke. Soto's Makhoke gasped out amazed as well. Heh, that's all might for YA. Soto cheered. That's why he's the best of the best, like no one ever was. The students cheered, the guys and the Pokemon cheering out in All Might's victory. The girls sighed, relief that All Might saved Deku and the rest of the guys down there, and themselves. Whoa! Kirishima gaped in awe at the hole in the dome where the Nomu blasted out of. That was like some tag team finishing move in a video game. Those two beat the shock absorption right out of it. To have power and a Pokemon like that. Bakugu said. They must have been punching that thing so fast with combined strikes that it couldn't regenerate. He really is the best. Todoroki thought. The power of a pro. Pikachu mentally gaped in awe. Amazing. Combusken gasped out. Now that is why he's the symbol of peace. Eevee thought and smiled. Izuku looked wide-eyed, in amazement of his idol and master's power. He did it. Izuku thought. He turned back towards All Might and Buzzwole, the two almost completely covered in smoke. They both did it. I have gotten weaker. All Might chuckled, the smoke revealing a panting Buzzwole and All Might, blood trickling from his mouth and cheek and his white undershirt practically torn to shreds. Back in my heyday, 5 hits from myself would have been enough. All Might turned to Deku with a large smile and placed his fist over his heart. But today it took both me and Buzzwole, along with 360 mighty blows. Deku's eyes watered, his agape mouth quickly forming into a bright, relieved smile.